So your first home was not your dream home, but you used it to help fund your dream home?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So our first house, of course, we were kind of limited based on what we were pre-approved for. So of course, we didn't get to pick out certain cabinetry and flooring and all those things. It was more so like a spec home.
Okay.
You know, growing up, communities where we had like double wide trailers, which was nice communities with homes. And we knew that we wanted a home in a neighborhood where our kids could grow up. So that's what we decided to do.
Right. You said something that I was like, wait, what's a spec home?
Spec home.
Mm-hmm.
So a spec home, you have these builders such as like Dear Horton, which was our builder that just come into a neighborhood and they build like 100 homes, but they already have the pre-plan already designed. Everything's already kind of picked out.
Okay.
Can't really make any adjustments to the home. I think our only adjustment that we could make was like the siding and things such as that, but not really like a custom home. So it was a spec home because they have a time frame where they have to have it built by, and they needed to build it fast. So they can't do a lot of adjusting and you picking this and you're picking that. So that's a spec home.
So benefit is you're still getting a brand new home.
Yeah.
Warranty and all that good stuff.
Yep.
But you don't get to go in there and say, hey, I want these cabinets, this countertop, this flooring.
Yep.
No, you didn't get to do any of that.
Nope, there's no design center.
Okay. But still a nice home.
Still a nice home, great community.
Okay.
We was able to pick our lot. So those were some still of the perks that we still had with choosing D.R. Horton as our builder.
Okay. And with going new construction, buying a spec home, I'm sure the builder probably tried to throw all these incentives your way.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So incentives were like a refrigerator, washer and dryer, blinds. Sometimes they help with closing costs.
Okay.
So those were some of like what our incentives were when we went into it.
Now let's talk about a few years later, you decided it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So a few years later, we decided it was time to move on. COVID happened, so we were home a lot more, and we just started noticing things within our neighborhood were kind of shifting. Like it started with this one home going on the market, and we noticed what they were putting their home on the market for. My husband was very interested because he was like, oh my gosh, they're putting their home on the market for this and they paid this. That's a lot of equity built into the home within that short amount of time frame. And so that just kind of made us look more into, well, how much equity do we have in our own home?
Right.
Because I was the type of person, where are we going to go? We sell. Like,
right.
I wasn't sure that we would be able to go out and do all those things because I really wasn't for sure like how much equity and what that looked like, and if we're going to be homeless because that might sell faster than we're able to find a home.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things that were just kind of going through my mind that was causing me anxiety. But when our neighbor that was 2 houses down, exact same spec home like ours, and we put more upgrades into our home than they had in theirs, and we saw what they got back. It was a no-brainer. We put it on the market really fast.
So did you sell before you found something else, or did you go find the home that you wanted, had in mind, and then put your home on the market? How'd you time it?
So the crazy thing was we were just like looking because we didn't really want to choose a realtor without really fully committing. So we were just kind of seeing what was out there because we were in Raleigh and we wanted to kind of go to Nightdale because that's where we initially were renting our townhome at. And we kind of want to get back to that community. So we just were looking, and then we found another home by Mungo Homes, and they were offering great incentives and all these programs, and the home was almost ready to be built. So when we found that home, that's when we decided, okay, let's go ahead and put our home on the market, because at that time we didn't know how quick it was going to sell.
Right.
But we needed to be in a position so we're not having to pay 2 mortgages, or there be like contingencies on the loan and all those other things.
Right, right. So you sold, was it COVID?
COVID, yeah.
How long was it on the market?
It was on the market, I would say about 30 days, like less than a month.
And you had an offer.
We had an offer.
And it was a good offer?
Oh, yeah.
Good enough for you to be like, it's time to
It's
go?
good enough for us to be, oh, let's take it.
Nice. So basically, your first home, your starter home, funded what is now your dream home.
My dream home. Yeah.
And does that surprise you that you were able to do that?
I was surprised because I didn't think it would happen that fast, like building that much equity in that short time frame. Because we were only in that home for about 4 years.
Wow.
So I was a little shocked.
So a lot of people think that when you can get pre-approved and you're ready to buy your first home, that you need to go find your dream home and all these bells and whistles. And you realize that sometimes that's financially out of your reach, but it's nothing wrong with buying
No.
a modest spec home
No.
or starter home to fund your next home. Do
Right.
you think you would have been able to buy that next home if you didn't have all that great equity in that first starter home?
I don't think we would have been able to buy it within that time frame just because housing prices were continuously going up. So this kind of just gave us that extra leverage to kind of go in, because also it was like a lot of bidding wars and things such as that. And so financially, this just kind of gave us that extra push and that extra income and money to kind of put towards our next home without being into any building wars or having to come out of like our own savings to kind of afford a house.
And at that time, the interest rates were at an all-time low.
Yeah.
3 and 4%. Like houses were selling like hotcakes.
Hotcakes.
Yeah, crazy. So what would you tell someone who is about to buy their first home and it's not based off of their budget and what they're looking at? It's not what they thought it would be or their dream home, or it's not perfect.
Yeah.
But there's some really great homes out there in their price range. What would you tell them?
I would say go for it, because even though I'm saying spec home, like my first home was almost 2,800 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, upstairs, downstairs,
Hardwood floors.
hardwood floors. Like it was kitchen island. Like it was a nice home to even be considered a first time home for us. And so it just amazed me that we consider this to be our first time house, when in actuality, other people looking at it as, oh, this is your forever home.
Right.
So I would tell people just to branch out there to see what is out there and what you're able to do with your credit, how much you've been pre-approved for, because you have to start somewhere. And you'd be surprised of the spec homes that are out there. Some of those spec homes are nice. Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah. I think that is so good. I love that. Sometimes you just have to go out there and start. Your first home does not have to be your forever home, but it can still be nice. You can make it what you want it. You can thrift and save and do what you need to do to make that space nice. So one day down the road, it could either be an investment property,
yeah.
or that equity could go into your next home that's probably really close to being somebody's dream home.
Yeah.
Yeah.